everyone! Thanks for tuning in to the last STEM with Simba for the summer. So today we're going to be making water bottle fountains. So for this activity you'll want to be in an area where you don't mind if things get a little wet. So some good ideas might be outside on your lawn, on your porch, somewhere with a tile floor, or even in your bathtub. So for this activity you'll need an empty plastic water bottle that you're not planning on using again, a straw, a balloon, some sticky tack or something like modeling clay, anything that can mold around something so that you can squish around something and is a little bit sticky, some water, and I'm going to use some food coloring so the activity is easier for you guys to see, and you're welcome to use food coloring as well. So today we're actually going to start off by doing the experiment, and then we're going to talk about how it worked once we're all finished. So our first step today is to poke a hole in the side of our water bottle, probably about in the middle, using a pen or another object. You'll probably need your adult's help with this because depending on your water bottle, this can be challenging. When you're poking your hole, make sure you keep it as close to the size of your straw as possible. So I've poked my hole and I'm going to put my straw in there. Try to make sure that the straw is not squished all the way shut. I'm going to put the bottom of the straw all the way to the bottom of the bottle and make sure the end is pointing up. So if you have a bendy straw, just make sure you bend it so it's pointing up. Now, once your straw is in place, you're going to take some of your sticky tack or modeling clay or whatever else you're using, and you're going to seal that around the outside of the straw to make sure there isn't any holes for water to leak out. So this is what mine looks like now that it's done. So mine actually ripped a little my water bottle over into here, so that's why I have sticky tack stretching all the way over to the sides. So this is what mine looks like from the inside. See, all those little cuts are covered. Next we're going to fill the water bottle with water all the way up to the hole. I'm going to add food coloring so it's easy to see, but I want you to think for a second on what do you think will happen once it reaches the hole. So I'm going to add a couple of drops of blue food coloring into my water bottle. Then I'm going to pour water from my cup or from wherever you're using. You can even put this right under the tap and slowly fill it all the way up to the hole. Well, now we've reached the hole and it doesn't really look like much is happening. So I don't have any leaks, but if you notice you have a leak, now is a great time to fix it because it happens. So now I'm going to fill it up past the hole. What do you think will happen? Well, let's see. Well, that's interesting. You can actually see my straw filling with water. And it turns out I do have a little bit of a leak, so I'm going to hop off for a quick second and fix that, and I'll be back. If your leak is really small, it's not really a big deal. You just don't want your water just pouring out. Now that I've fixed my leak, I'm going to fill the water bottle back up to above the hole again, but this time I'm actually going to go all the way to the top of the straw, and we're going to see what happens. So I've gotten all the way to the top of the straw, and as you can see, my whole entire straw is full of water. Now I'm going to blow up my balloon just a little bit, and I'm going to put the top over the edge. If the air comes out, that's okay. So I'm going to put the top over the edge, and as you can see, my balloon still has a little air in it. Now I'm going to gently squeeze the balloon, and as you can see, water comes out. Well, if I squeeze harder, it comes out a lot higher, right? Well, let's talk about why that happens. So if you have a second person at home with you or an adult that can help you out, one of you can pinch the balloon to hold it closed while the other one puts the lip of the balloon, the very edge, over the top of the bottle. When you do this, you'll see as the air comes out of the balloon, the fountain will spray up through your little spout that you made with your straw. It'll almost look like an automatic fountain because you aren't touching or squeezing anything. But all of this works in the same way, so let's talk about it. Well, what do you think happened when you put the balloon, whether you squished it or whether you had someone help you hold it to keep it full of air? What do you think happened when you put that on the lip of the water bottle? The air started leaving the balloon, right? Well, where did it go? Well, what happened actually was the air was pushing itself out of the balloon down into the water bottle because the balloon wants to stretch back to its original shape, little like this instead of big like we had it blown up. Normally when you push on something, it moves. You can see what I mean by the air pushing itself out. If you blow up the balloon and you hold it by your fingers, you'll feel air rushing out against your hand and against your fingers. And that's kind of like how it was pushing on the water. So what is this invisible thing that's pushing? Well, it's the air, right? But why is the air pushing? Well, the water that's in the bottle was not being pushed on at all while we had it filled up initially, right? It just went up to the top of the straw. So the water was leveling itself out as we continued to fill the bottle higher and higher. Well, when we introduced the balloon, that air in there was under pressure because we pushed it in with our mouth, right? So when something's under pressure, normally it wants to escape. That's why it pushed itself out of the balloon into the little pocket of uncompressed or unpressurized, not squished air, so that it could escape into the bottle and have less pressure on it. But when that happened, it put pressure on the water, and since the water had an easy way out through the straw, that's where it escaped. So what is pressure when you're talking about pressure in science? Well, it actually is what we described earlier, but another way to put it is that it's a force. So a force is something that can push or pull, that can make things change their speed or change their shape. So a force that is exerted or pushed or pulled, so a force that's acting over an area. So an area would be like, whether it's small, like the point of your pen when you poked a hole in your water bottle, or whether it's bigger, like maybe think when you step onto an air mattress and things change because you just exerted pressure with your foot, right? So the air moved around. So a pressure is a force acting over an area. And we have the force from the balloon wanting to squish back in because of the elastic properties of the balloon. So it wants to return to its original shape. So that force was acting over the area, which was all the air that was touching the inside of the balloon. So that made pressure, which pushed the air down into the bottle, which then pushed the water out, because water is a liquid, and liquids can't really be compressed very much, especially if there's a way for them to escape. If there wasn't a way for them to escape, the water actually probably would have stayed almost the same level in the bottle if you had just filled the bottle with water and put a balloon over the top, and the balloon probably would have kept most of its air in it. If you have a spare water bottle, this time any kind, even reusable, is fine, since you won't need a hole. Then you can try that out and see. So, well, why didn't the water come out of the straw when we went past the opening? Well, if the straw was pointed down, it actually would have come out of the opening. But the water wasn't under any pressure except atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure is the pressure that the Earth is normally at. And that can change dependent on how high you are relative to the surface of the Earth. So let's say if you were at the bottom of a big hole versus at the top of a mountain, the atmospheric pressure would be a little different. But for most places on Earth, it's pretty much the same. So when we filled that with water, it was only under atmospheric pressure, which is kind of like water's normal. So at normal pressure, water is just being pulled down by gravity. So when you filled the straw, the water in the bottle was being pulled down. So it was filling up the straw to the same level as the water in the bottle. You can fill up your bottle again to actually see this, how it evens itself out. I hope that you guys enjoyed the 4 STEM with Simba activities this summer, and I hope that I'll get the chance to see you guys again next year. I hope everyone has a great time at school in the fall, whether you're going to class or staying home, and I hope that you all stay happy and safe, and that you keep taking the time to learn and have fun in every day. Have a great rest of the summer, everyone!